My name is Sophia, and I'm 25 years old. I live with my parents, and I'm just waiting for my college graduation. Life should be easy right now, but it's not, all because of my older sister Liesel and her twins. Liesel is 28, married, and lives in her own house on the other side of town. You'd think that since she has her own place, she'd take care of her own kids. But that's not how things go in our family. Since her twins were born 6 years ago, I've been the one she always asks to babysit. It all started when I had just started college. One day, Liesel showed up at our house carrying her 2 tiny babies and a diaper bag. "Sophia, I have a really important meeting," she said. "Can you watch them for just 1 hour?" But that 1 hour turned into 3, then 4. It was already dark by the time she came back. She was carrying shopping bags and gave me a guilty smile. "Thanks so much."
"You're so good with them," she said.
From that day on, it kept happening. Liesel would bring the twins over whenever she had to run errands, go to the doctor, or just wanted a break. Sometimes she left them for a few hours, other times for the whole weekend. "Liesel, I have midterms coming up," I tried telling her when she showed up without calling first. "I really need to study." "Don't be so dramatic," she'd say, while putting the twins' bags down in the living room. "They mostly sleep anyway. You can study while they nap." But anyone who's been around babies knows that's not true. Between feeding them, changing diapers, and giving them attention all the time, it was almost impossible to study. "I haven't seen my friends in weeks," I told her one day after she dropped the twins off for the 4th weekend in a row. "I need some time for myself too." Liesel just rolled her eyes. "What are you talking about? You have plenty of free time. The babies don't take up that much of it," she said while grabbing her purse and heading to the door. "Besides, isn't that what sisters are for? We're supposed to help each other." That became her favorite line. Sisters should help each other. She said it every single time. I tried to speak up every time. I told Liesel about my classes, my homework, or how I wanted a social life. But to her, nothing mattered more than being there for family. And so, it kept going month after month, year after year. My whole college life turned into a mix of babysitting and trying hard to keep up with my studies. While my classmates were going to parties and making fun memories, I was writing essays with one hand while holding a crying baby in the other. The twins grew from tiny babies into active toddlers. But Liesel's expectations didn't change. In fact, she asked for even more help. "They're so much easier now," she'd say. "They can walk, talk. It's like having little friends over." But 5-year-old friends still need someone to watch them all the time. They need to be played with, fed, cleaned, and kept out of trouble. Whether they were climbing bookshelves or drawing on the walls, they needed my full attention. Finally, graduation day came. After 4 hard years of balancing school and babysitting, I was finally done with college. My friends and I decided to celebrate at our favorite cafe, the one where we'd spent so much time studying and dreaming about the future. "So, what's next for everyone?" Heidi asked while stirring her latte. "We're all going different ways soon." "That's what I wanted to talk about," Amalia said. "We should do something fun together before we all leave one last trip." "What about Germany?" I said. "I've always wanted to go there." The idea caught on fast like fire. Everyone started talking at once, pulling out their phones to look at flights and places to stay. I couldn't believe it might really happen. My grandmother had even given me $3,000 as a graduation gift. "Look at these flight prices," Agnes said. "If we book now, we'll get great deals." We spent hours at the cafe planning every little thing. By the time we left, our flights were booked and hotel rooms reserved.
The trip was just a few weeks away.
I felt so happy, like I was floating on a cloud. That evening, I came home excited. My parents had invited Liesel and her family over for dinner. I couldn't wait to tell everyone the news. "Germany," I said with a big smile. Liesel dropped her fork onto her plate. "When are you going?" she asked. "3rd week of May," I said, taking another bite of my mom's lasagna. "We got really good deals on the tickets." Liesel's face turned bright red. "3rd week of May? Are you serious?" I looked at her, confused by the way she spoke. "What's wrong with May?" "That's when Felix and I are going on our trip," she said. "You knew that." You did this on purpose.
What?
No, I didn't know about your trip. Yes, you did. Liesel raised her voice. You're just trying to avoid babysitting the twins while we're gone. I put down my fork. I wasn't hungry anymore. Liesel, I really didn't know. We only planned this trip today. Well, you need to cancel it, she said seriously. You can go to Germany anytime. We already booked everything, and we need you to watch the kids. I can't cancel, I said. We booked everything too. And this is my only chance to travel with my friends before they all move away. Don't be silly, Liesel snapped. Your friends will still be here. My trip is more important. I haven't had a vacation in a long time. You need to stay and take care of the twins. I took a deep breath and looked her in the eyes. I'm not changing my plans, Liesel. Everything is already set. This is crazy. You're being totally selfish. Selfish. My face got hot. I've spent the last 6 years stopping everything to help you. I babysat whenever you asked. This might be the only time I get to go on a trip with my friends before we all move away. Can't you see that? Liesel slammed her hand on the table, making the forks and knives shake. And what am I supposed to do with the twins?
Did you think about that?
Mom and Dad are too busy, she added before I could speak. Mom's working extra hours at the office, and Dad's still getting better from his health problems. You know that. I looked at Dad. He was just pushing food around his plate, not looking at anyone. He had been tired lately, that part was true. But I knew Liesel was twisting things like she always did. There's a simple answer, I said, trying to stay calm. Hire a babysitter. Liesel gave a cold laugh. A babysitter? I don't trust strangers with my kids. And we're saving money to buy a house. We can't waste money on a sitter when you're fully able to watch them. I crossed my arms. If you can afford a vacation, you can afford a babysitter. That's different, she said. This trip is important for our marriage. Felix and I really need this time together. Then her voice changed into that guilt trip tone I'd heard so many times before. There's no problem here, Sophia. You just need to do what you always do, stay with the twins. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal? I repeated quietly. Something inside me snapped. You know what? I'm done talking about this. I've made up my mind. I'm going to Germany. Sophia, no.
Liesel said.
I stood up from the table. I've spent years changing my plans for you. I've missed parties, study sessions, and time with my friends because you needed a babysitter. But that stops now. You're not going to make me feel guilty about this trip. This isn't about guilt, Liesel argued. It's about being responsible for family. And what about your responsibility as a parent? I shot back. It's not my job to give you free childcare whenever you ask. If you need help, hire someone. I'm going to Germany with my friends, and that's final. Liesel's face turned bright red. She opened her mouth to argue more, but I was already walking away from the table. I had spent too many years letting her control me with guilt and family pressure. This time, I was choosing myself. The next 3 weeks were strangely quiet at home. Mom and Dad didn't take sides. They just said Liesel, and I should work things out on our own. Liesel didn't call, didn't text, and didn't stop by with the twins. It should have felt peaceful, but instead, it felt like the calm before a storm. I kept myself busy packing and getting ready for the trip, trying to ignore the tight feeling in my stomach. The day before I was supposed to leave, I was going through my final checklist when I realized I still needed to buy a few important things. I'm heading to the store. I called out to Mom as I grabbed my car keys. Need to pick up a few last-minute things for tomorrow. I was gone for about an hour, fighting through crowds at the store. But the moment I came home, I knew something was wrong. The house was too quiet, except for the soft sound of kids laughing in the living room. My heart started pounding. I knew that laugh. Adrian and Bastian were here.
But why?
Liesel hadn't brought them over in 3 weeks. I ran into the living room and froze. There were my nephews sitting on the floor, giggling. And in their small hands was my passport. No, 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 no. I cried, rushing forward and grabbing it from them. My hands were shaking as I opened it, praying it was okay. But it wasn't. Nothing was okay. Where my photo should have been, there was a big hole, cut out with scissors. The pages were full of scribbles in red, blue, green, and purple marker. Even the official stamps and visa pages were completely ruined. I couldn't hold it in. I started screaming. I couldn't stop myself. All the stress, all the frustration, all the careful planning, it was gone in seconds. Hot tears ran down my face as I looked at the ruined passport. My passport, I whispered. I dropped onto the couch, holding the damaged booklet close to my chest. This couldn't be real. Not now. Not when I was less than a day away from the trip I had dreamed of for so long. My screams filled the house, bouncing off the walls, just like my broken dream of going to Germany. Through my tears, I noticed something else. There wasn't a single adult around. Who had left the twins alone? And how did they even find scissors? Then Mom, Dad, and Liesl came rushing into the living room after hearing me scream. I held up the passport, my hands still shaking. Look what they did, I cried. Look at my passport. Liesl's face didn't show any shock. She just folded her arms and clicked her tongue, acting like the annoyed older sister she always was. Sophia, you really should be more careful with important things, she said coldly. How many times have I told you not to leave stuff where the kids can reach it? I stared at her, stunned. She turned to our parents, suddenly speaking in a calm, sweet voice like she was talking about the weather, not my ruined travel plans. You know how careless Sophia can be, she said. She probably left her passport out on the bed or something. The twins are just curious. They must have found it and thought it was a toy. Are you serious right now? I shouted, jumping up from the couch, my legs shaking with anger. That's not true. I never leave my things out, especially not when the twins are here. I've learned that the hard way after 6 years of babysitting them. Liesl raised one eyebrow, pretending to look confused. Well, I guess you didn't learn well enough. Oh, that's funny coming from you, I said, my voice getting louder. If I'm so careless, then why do you always leave your kids with me? Why would you trust someone so irresponsible with your precious twins? Mom and Dad stood there in silence, their eyes going back and forth between us like they were watching a tennis match. I could see worry on Mom's face, and Dad's fists were clenched tight. They had never seen me this upset before. And another thing, I went on, the anger building inside me like a storm. My passport was inside my suitcase, a locked suitcase. And inside that, it was in a zippered pocket, inside a folder with my other documents. Are you really trying to tell me the twins managed to open all that by themselves? I watched Liesl's face closely as I explained every step I took to keep my passport safe. For a second, I saw something in her eyes, fear. But it was gone just as quickly, replaced by her usual fake calm look. It was the same look she always used when asking me to babysit, just for a few hours, which always turned into days. I don't know how it happened, she said smoothly, like she had practiced the words. Kids can be really clever when they want something. But there's no point in blaming anyone. The truth is, you clearly didn't keep your passport safe enough. She looked at me like it was obvious. The twins are only 4. They're too young to be blamed for this. You're the adult, Sophia. This is your fault. Hearing her talk like that made me feel sick. After all those years of saying yes to her. After years of canceling my own plans to help her. After all the sacrifices I made for her, this is how she repaid me. Then Liesl turned to our parents, acting like she cared. Well, since Sophia can't go on her trip anymore, she said sweetly, she can stay here and watch the twins while Felix and I go on vacation. It actually works out perfectly. She gave that same fake smile, the one I'd seen so many times before whenever she dropped her responsibilities on me. The room started spinning. I felt like I was going to be sick. I fell back onto the couch, crying so hard I could barely breathe. Through my tears, I saw Mom's shocked face and Dad's tight jaw. The twins stood in the corner, quiet and confused. They kept looking back and forth between Liesl and me, clearly not sure what was going on, or if they had done something wrong. After what felt like forever but was probably just a few minutes, I finally calmed down. A strange stillness came over me, like the feeling after a big storm, when you know there's nothing left to lose. Dad, I said, my voice rough from crying. Liesl did this. She planned it all. There's no way the boys got into my suitcase by themselves. My hands were still shaking, but my voice was strong. I was done being the little sister who always stayed quiet. Liesl let out a short, cold laugh. Oh, please. Don't be ridiculous. You can't make serious claims like that without proof, Sophia. Where's your evidence? She sounded so sure of herself, like always. Like someone who had never been held responsible for anything. Her smug voice made my hands shake even more. But before I could say anything, Dad spoke. His voice was calm but firm as he turned to face the twins. I had never seen him look so serious before. Adrian, Bastian, come here for a minute, he said, kneeling down so he was at their level. His kind eyes looked into theirs. Can you tell Grandpa where you got Aunt Sophia's passport? The twins looked at each other. Then Adrian stepped forward, bouncing on his toes like he always did when he was excited to share something. Mommy gave it to us, he said proudly. She said we were going to surprise Aunt Sophia. Bastian quickly nodded, not wanting to be left out.
Yeah.
Mommy said Aunt Sophia had an ugly picture in her passport and we should cut it out. Adrian added, smiling as he remembered. She gave us the big scissors from the kitchen and the markers too. Mommy said we could make it look pretty with lots of colors. She said Aunt Sophia would be so happy. The room went completely quiet. The only sound was the ticking of the old clock in the corner. Liesel's face turned pale. All her earlier confidence disappeared as her own kids shared the truth. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. For the first time ever, my perfect big sister didn't know what to say. Mom covered her mouth with her hand, shocked. Her eyes moved between Liesl and me, like she was truly seeing both of us for the first time. Dad's kind expression turned cold. All the patience in his face was gone, replaced by something harder, something I'd never seen before. And Liesl, the sister who always acted like she was in control, finally looked scared. What happened next is something I'll never forget. Dad, who had never even raised his voice in my whole life, suddenly exploded. What is wrong with you? He yelled so loud, everyone jumped. The twins hugged each other tightly, their eyes wide with fear. Have you completely lost your mind, Liesl? Liesl stepped back, her face as white as paper.
Dad,
Don't you dare try to explain this, he shouted, pointing at her. His hands were shaking. This isn't just some silly joke. You destroyed your sister's passport on purpose. And worse, you got your own kids to help you ruin her trip. Mom quickly pulled the twins close, trying to keep them from hearing more. I sat frozen on the couch, watching my dad finally let out years of anger and frustration. We have always helped you, Liesl, he continued. Your mother and I have bent over backwards to support you. And Sophia, she gave up her whole college life to be your babysitter. He shook his head, furious. And this is how you thank her? By acting like a selfish, out-of-control person. Liesl's lips started to shake. I just messed up, Dad. I didn't mean. Dad let out a bitter laugh. You didn't just mess up, Liesl. You crossed every line. Then he looked her straight in the eyes. Remember the deal we made about helping you buy a house? Well, that deal is off. It's cancelled. All the color drained from Liesl's face. No, Dad, please. That $95,000? You're not getting it anymore, he said firmly. I'm giving it to Sophia instead. She can use it to get her own apartment, far away from your lies and control. His voice was cold and strong. As for you, you'll get your inheritance after I'm gone. Not a day before. Liesl broke down crying. Her mascara ran down her cheeks. She turned to Mom, looking for help. But Mom just shook her head slowly. I'm so disappointed in you, Liesl, she said in a quiet, sad voice. I never thought you'd do something like this. I don't even know who you are anymore. The room went silent. My torn-up passport still lay on the coffee table, a painful reminder of everything that had just fallen apart in our family. Of course, I couldn't go to Germany the next day. My dream trip was officially canceled, at least for now. But my friends showed me just how amazing they were. They refused to go without me. We'll reschedule, Heidi said when I called her in tears. It'll only take a couple months to get a new passport. We'll wait. All of you? I asked, so touched I could barely speak. Of course, all of us, Amalia replied in our group chat. Germany has been around for thousands of years. It can wait a little longer. Agnes was already looking into changing our bookings. Most airlines and hotels have flexible options, she said. We might lose a small fee, but that's okay. What matters is going together. Their support meant everything to me. While my sister had tried to ruin my plans, my friends showed me what true loyalty looked like. Sometimes, real family isn't the one you're born into. It's the people who stand by you no matter what. The ones who believe in your dreams and never let someone else's selfishness destroy them. Sometime later, I was finally boarding the plane to Germany. I had a brand new passport in my hand, and my heart felt full. My friends had rebooked everything, and the extra fees were nothing compared to the joy of keeping our dream alive. I still can't believe we're really here, Heidi said as the plane took off. I smiled and squeezed her hand, thankful for friends who waited for me. And Germany, it was everything. Germany was even better than I had dreamed. We walked through the old streets of Munich, amazed by Marienplatz, and threw coins into the miniature Wonderland. In Berlin, we spent hours at the Brandenburg Gate and climbed to the top of the Museum Island. Dresden was like a dream, especially at sunset when the water turned golden. This gelato alone was worth waiting for, Amalia said one afternoon as we sat near the Heidelberg Castle. And look at these pictures. They'll make perfect Christmas cards. But the best part wasn't just the beautiful places, it was the freedom. For the first time in 6 years, I didn't have to check my phone all the time for texts from Liesl. No sudden babysitting requests, no guilt trips, no games. It was just me, my friends, and the adventure we had planned together. Back home, everything had changed. The house felt calm now, without the twins running around or Liesl's voice filling the halls with demands. Dad had already started moving the house money into my name instead of Liesl's. I found a nice 4-bedroom apartment near the city center. I told Mom over coffee one morning after I got back from Germany. It's perfect for starting my new job. She smiled, looking more peaceful than she had in years. Your father and I are so proud of you, sweetheart. You've handled everything so well. Liesl hadn't come to the house since the passport incident. Mom still called her now and then, keeping a small connection, but they weren't close. According to Mom, Liesl had quit her job to stay home with the twins, though we all knew it was because she couldn't rely on free babysitting anymore. She's finally learning what it means to be a real mom, Mom said during one of our chats. It's about time. Dad stood firm on his decision about the money. Actions have consequences, he would say anytime Mom mentioned Liesl. She's an adult. She chose to hurt her sister. I won't reward that. Mom told me the twins still asked about me sometimes during their phone calls. I miss them too, but I knew I needed space for now. Maybe one day, when they're older, I could have a real relationship with them, one that isn't mixed up in Liesl's lies. For now, I was focused on building my own life. The trip to Germany gave me more than just good memories. It showed me what I could do when I stopped letting others make my choices. My new apartment was a fresh beginning, a place that was truly mine, where no one could drop by and expect favors. You know what the best part is? I asked my friends at our weekly dinner. For the first time, I finally feel like I'm living my life, not just playing a small part in Liesl's story. Sometimes I do feel a little guilty about how things ended, the tension in the family, Dad being so strict and the twins growing up without me around. But then I remember what Liesl did to my passport and how she planned it on purpose. She may have lost her free babysitter, but I gained something much more important: my freedom.